Welcome to Beyond Borders, our regular look at the outsourcing industry. And today we're joined by Kareem Yehia from Vezloo. Kareem, welcome to the show. Introduce yourself and Vezloo to us, please.
I'm an Egyptian based in Egypt for all the previous years. And again, so I'm already a mechanical engineer by education.
Mhm.
I've been in Fortune 500 FMCG, worked for 15 years in manufacturing domain, where I reached a manufacturing director there. And then I started up Vezlo back in 2019. And since then, we are working and expanding since then.
And in 2019, you would have been just in time for COVID to come along.
Exactly. And actually, to be honest, it worked perfectly fine for us because we were able to operate in a remote domain versus some others maybe couldn't. So
Yes.
actually, it came with an increase for us, surprisingly so.
And COVID gave the world a global lesson in remote working. You know,
Yeah.
as terrible as the pandemic was for the world, in the outsourcing sector, it did teach the world a lesson on what could be done. Now, for people in the Philippines, where I'm based, but also most of our clients come from Australia and the US, we don't obviously think of Egypt as being a big outsourcing provider. Is the industry big there?
Yes. So in general, in terms of outsourcing, yes. However, not in my domain. So outsourcing usually in either software engineering or in call centers. It's very big domain there. So there are big companies that are opening there for outsourcing as well. However, in my domain, which is data annotation for machine learning and AI solutions, there is not much there. So it's a bit kind of new thing that we started, and maybe a couple of companies still there. But in outsourcing in general, it's a big thing in Egypt, yes.
Well, that would make you a pioneer and an innovator. Now, for people who don't know about the sort of work you do with annotation, fill us in on what that involves and why there's a demand for it today.
Good. So what we do is simply is that we are doing the data annotations for different industries. So either in image annotations or videos or text or speech. So what happens today is in the companies that are working on AI and machine learning, like in the retail industry, there's lots of retail intelligence solutions where you are looking into autonomous retail stores that everything is like kind of autonomous. Do that, you need annotations to be done either video or image. On the automotive field with the autonomous driving, all this is based as well on annotations on lidar automation annotations. Gen AI solutions or Gen AI solutions requires text and speech annotations. On top of that, we do as well sports analytics. Now performance tracking and all of that became a big one where we can really people scout for players, the drive actions based on performance. So as well, we do lots of data collections and sports analytics on that domain. So in a nutshell, with AI growing, more and more training data is needed, and we're talking millions of data that require lots of annotations in the background.
Now, I have been to visit a local company here that does annotations on videos and LiDAR for automated driving. And this was a big room full of people watching
Yeah.
both video and simultaneously the LiDAR footage. And for those of you who are listening and are not familiar with LiDAR, this is, if you like, it's radar using light rather than using radio frequencies. But basically, it looks a little bit like, and forgive my description here, but it's a little bit like a moving X-ray picture of what you're seeing on the video. So there's lots of people sitting around watching this. And as the car goes past and it sees the stop sign, someone has to stop the video, highlight the stop sign, say, oh, that's a red octagonal sign. We need to annotate that to tell the computer what it is. And they say that's a stop sign. And then they move on to the next one. That's the sort of stuff you're talking about, I gather.
Yes, exactly.
And that's a huge piece of work because the companies who are doing that are looking to do it on every street, everywhere in the world. And it's not just street signs, which are pretty, straightforward, I guess, but it's telling the computer what the difference is between wet concrete and dry concrete and telling the computer what the difference is between a pedestrian and a piece of advertising literature on the side of the road. So that part of it I understand. You were saying you also do a lot of sports?
Yeah, so lidar is one side of it, but there is another aspects on sports and on retail as well, where everyone trying to expand. So you see today in the big leagues in the football, for example, the players wear devices to tell their performance. They track everything, the speed, the passes, and everything.
Right.
However, in the schools and the low tier leagues, in even a scouting field, there is no much of luxury of buying these devices spreading everywhere because they are expensive.
Yep.
So people rely on collecting this data manually and start analyzing them and driving decisions out of it. Even if you see today in tennis world, we are working with some people working on Wimbledon and US Open and different big competitions. Still, there's no devices that can get you accurate data. That's
Mm-hmm.
why doing this manually with a trained, capable resources is very crucial to be able to get an accurate data to drive decisions.
Right. I wasn't aware much of that was being done manually, I have to admit. And Kareem, who are the clients that would be looking for you? Like what sort of businesses are coming to you?
So one thing is autonomous retail stores. So any company who's working on autonomous solutions for retails, either to manage inventory or to manage a smooth experience for the clients. So this is one big domain. There is another domain where people are looking for retail security. So they're trying to understand if there's any theft, shoplifting. So this is something where we help the AI being very validated, highly validated on identifying the theft cases.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one type of them. Second type is clients working on Gen AI solutions, either people trying to transfer the call centers, transfer the chatbots into an AI solutions, having it at high quality. So what we call it voice AI. So this big domain that people work with us on, definitely sports as I was referring to, in different sports, tennis, football, basketball, every type of sports. And last but not least, which is surprisingly, is the esports, which is gaming, because gaming
Yes.
now, especially with COVID, expanded a lot. It's a big industry. So as well, they try to understand the performance, how people really win the game, especially games like Fortnite, LOL, Apex. So we do lots of annotation for these as well.
And of course, for all our listeners who are my age, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I certainly haven't been a teenager for about 50 years. Esports is kind of invisible unless you're involved in that area. And so esports are computer games. These are not played by 13-year-olds in a dark bedroom anymore. Well, they are, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking here about professional sporting teams, well-funded people who compete globally in these esports tournaments, sometimes in big arenas with large numbers of people watching live, but also large online audiences. And I had no idea that they had to be manually annotated as well, Kareem. So I've learned something today. What are you seeing in the voice AI field? Because I suspect you're one of the world's experts in this. This is where companies that use call centers, and some of them are very big call centers, are looking to explore the idea of replacing their human call center agents, their human staff, with computer agents. Is that becoming a big thing?
Yes, it is. So, and now people are looking for actually the right accent, the right experience, so that you don't feel that you're talking to a robot. So you want to
Right.
make it human. So this is the main aspect out of it, is that to give you the full experience, high response, a high call rate at the same time, because you can multiply it without having multiple people answering one, two calls, and
Yes.
having it in an efficient way and in a human nature aspect is the tricky part of it.
And are you actually annotating text there? Is that what's involved?
So both. So we are annotating text, and as well we're designing the flow to make sure what to answer, how to answer, to make sure that they answer and ask the right questions, right? Versus to based on what they hear and what they listen from the people calling them.
it sounds like a very interesting area to be in, and one that would require quite a bit of skill by the sound of it. How big is Vezloo, Kareem?
So currently we are around 300 people, plus or
Right.
minus. And this team includes lots of part-timers. So we are scaling up and scaled down based on projects as we speak. So, but again, roughly is around 300.
Right. Let me just make some assumptions here, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. So, for someone listening who has a need for your sort of services, being a business process organization, you're the employer of all the staff, and the client is hiring those staff, leasing those staff, I guess, from you. Is it the case that you take care of all the local Egyptian legislation, the legal compliance, the human resources, and the management of the staff, and your client gives you a piece of work to do? How do they pay for that? Do they pay per person per hour, or are they paying for a result, for a piece of work?
So my preferred option is always based on result and piece of work, because this is
Right.
where I believe the value that we provide comes from that.
Yes.
However, there is some type of tasks that you can really put a throughput to it. So it's kind of complicated task that has different dynamics. In that case, it tends to be hourly rate, human working hours rate. However, 90% of the cases, it's result oriented.
Right. And what size clients can you work with? I guess you can work with the biggest clients in the world. How small can your clients be?
Actually, we have a client right now working with around capacity of 3 people,
Oh,
four
wow.
people in a nutshell. So again, we adjust our scale with our client, because we believe some of them we are there to start and then grow as they progress, because there are many startups that start small and then they grow. We have worked with some people that we worked in 2 years on one project that was, again, let's say for 1 month, and then they came back 4 years later on another bigger project. So that's why we work with the people regardless of the scale, and we design ourselves accordingly.
And what languages do you work in, Kareem?
So we work in English, Arabic, French, and sometimes Spanish, but the main 3 languages are the ones that have a
Right.
big expertise in. But Spanish comes again when needed. We can find a couple of people, again, number of people who can speak Spanish.
Right. Kareem, it's fascinating to hear from you, because this is an area where the main conversations around business process outsourcing and call centers don't go into the annotation world. And it's interesting to hear that AI is having those impacts. Let me recap a little. Your firm is Vezloo, V-E-Z or V-E-Z-L-O-O, and your name is Kareem Yehia. How do people get in touch with you?
So the easiest one will be through our website, which is www.vezloo, which is VEZLOO.com. Second one, either through our LinkedIn, either through my name or the company as well name, which is the same, VEZLOO. These are the easiest one to reach us.
If you've been listening to us and you've been fascinated by what Kareem's had to say, or you've heard him mention the solution to a problem you've got, reach out to him. He'll be delighted to speak to you. Don't feel that you're too small. Some of his clients are 3 and 4 seat clients, and don't feel you're too big, although big companies never feel that they're too big, I know. My name is Wayne Buckler. Today my guest has been Kareem Yehia from Vezloo, and we've been talking about chat AI and the annotation of voice bots and esports and sporting events and automotive driving, and how that's all working in his business process organization in Egypt. Kareem, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure having you with me.
Thank you, Wayne. Pleasure's mine.